My name's Clay, I'm an addict. Today I've been clean 5 years, 6 months, and 27 days. Growing up, I think I was predetermined to be a drug addict. Everything in me, you know, I have an addictive personality by nature. Addiction kind of runs heavy in my family. Grew up with really low self-esteem, never really felt like I fit in, like I always managed to get by, but I never was comfortable with myself. And this went on all the way through, you know, I made it out of college, did a lot of experimenting, you know, with substances, alcohol. I like to go to the party. I like for the party to keep going. So in my late 20s, I was introduced to some harder drugs, you know, got on some really hard opiate painkillers. And my life kind of stopped for a while. It kept spinning. It was a lot like a movie where you see somebody sitting still, everything spins and it keeps going. Ended up, you know, losing a job over it and focusing on what I really wanted to do. And I focused and I started working a lot in video, worked for a film company. Life was going really good. I moved off, you know, 13 hours down the street, but I didn't come to terms with the person I was and the problems I had. Needless to say, big cities have bigger drugs and they have, you know, more of a party vibe to it. So even though I was doing well and God had provided for me, he had shown me that I could do whatever I wanted to do. Because I took my career out of one phase and completely flipped it into another area. And I was really excelling at it, but I still had not taken care of what I needed to take care of, and I didn't feel like I was comfortable being me. And by the grace of God, you know, he said, well, I blessed you with this. Let's move you from Philadelphia to Atlanta. And Atlanta had people that cared about me. And instead of sitting down, taking a hit, realizing, well, you still got a chance to get back on track. You still got a chance to do what makes you happy. Instead of doing any of that, you know, I got in even harder. Next thing I know, you know, so I went from doing downers to now I figured out that I had missed all this time. Let's get that time back. So I would work a regular job during the day, take a bunch of speed at night, thinking I could make up on that lost time, not realizing I'm going right back in the same loop. I had a good time in Atlanta for about 3 years. Still, everybody and everything's passing me by, and looking back on it, I'm still sitting still, and life is moving by, even though I think I'm doing a lot. That goes on for a few years. End up back in Dothan, you know, because the Atlanta thing really fell through. Really almost messed my life up in Atlanta for good. Come back to Dothan, where I'm from. So I came back 2014. Came back and I was really, really unhappy, and I was dead set on doing myself in. Didn't want anything to do with anybody. Really felt like my life had been lost. Nothing can make me happy. I would say these little prayers to God, God, just show me the way. You know, let me get back on track. I'll do anything you want. You know, still ignoring like the problem's me. It's not anything else. The problem's me. You know, so go through a period of a while in Dothan. You know, I'd run into people. I was working at a gas station. And I'd run into people and they just look at me and go, what happened? And I just joke around and go, bad choices. You know, so eventually I had nobody. So I didn't have my mom, I didn't have my dad. Nobody would talk to me. My grandmother would talk to me. And that's where my life kind of changed a little bit. I eventually started running out of money and trying to get my life straight. And it's a bad spot when you're trying to get your life straight. And for 3 days, you're this person that's up 24/7, and this person you're down, and your brain starts thinking, who am I? Where do I want to be? Am I good with me? Or do I want to go down this road? So it got to a point in my life that I hope a lot of people never get to. There's a crossroads where what you could have been is going to give way to what you become. And you got to turn it around right then, or you either got to commit and go this other way. You know, I can remember the first time I realized I was a junkie. Like the first time I even recognized I was a junkie, you know, probably early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. I remember sitting in my apartment one night and I started getting withdrawal pains, and I've never had those. And it dawned on me an hour in that I am a junkie, and the saddest part was I was cool with it. I said, okay, that's cool, that's who we are. That's where my self-esteem was at the time. Second part was the first time I ever put a needle in my body, very lonely, 20-minute decision where you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, am I really doing this? Am I really doing this? But, you know, something about drug addiction and people that have a bad addiction, it's you're not really thinking, you know, to me, the worst thing you could tell a drug addict is you're gonna die. You're gonna die. They don't care. Like there's no tomorrow, there's no yesterday, everything is gray and you're trying to keep it right in the middle. Nothing's happy, nothing's good, you just kind of lose yourself. The third time I remember being really lonely is, so I came home from my job and I came to my grandmother's house, and there, you know, upstairs there's a gun cabinet. And I know when I first moved in with my grandmother, it was open because there's a bunch of cool snapback hats from the 80s, and I was looking through them and I was like, oh, this is really cool. But one day at my job, you know, I was thinking, I can't go the other way. I've lost my life. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of, you know, me. And I went to that gun cabinet and it was locked. And I remember in that moment, really feeling this God's grace. Because I sat on the bed and it was clear. It was clear as day. Are you done? Are you done? Are you done now? Are you done? And I was done. I was beat, I was sad, I was sick, but I was done. And there was no, you know, I couldn't think anymore about this long goal of I want to get here. I had to start thinking about tomorrow, this minute, this day, what do I need to do? And, you know, and I just started asking, what do I need to do? And something told me, you know, go to a meeting, go to a meeting. So even though, you know, all those times, and every addict's got this in their life where they just, you know, like you miss out and you're hurting and you say something like, oh God, just get me on through today. I promise I'll never do it again. You know, every addict out there in any kind of way, they have pleas with God, and God never leaves you. Like He's there, but He's not gonna provide you with stuff like that. It's like, you know, the tools are there. The tools are what He provides. So like if I wanna paint my house, I'm not gonna say, oh God, I hope I wake up tomorrow, but the house is painted. No, but you may find a paintbrush, or your neighbor may be throwing out some paint. You know, it's all how you look at it. So that moment of grace, it changed my life. So I really, you know, here's the thing that I like to say, you know, people who are gonna hurt themselves, they don't talk about it. They'll go throughout their day, they'll talk to people, they'll say everything, and then they just decide in their head they're gonna do it. So I was there, and it scares me to think that I was there because of everything I have today. And I'm not, you know, everything I've experienced today comes from that really big, you know, moment of grace where I'm sure somebody liked the gun cabinet because they thought I was going to take the guns to the pawn shop, you know, but it doesn't matter. Either way, it was locked, and I was just in a bad spot. You know, so I went through a year of really tough cleaning out myself mentally, cleaning out everyone I hung out with, cleaning out everything, and trying to rebuild my life back up. I have you know, I can't say anything about material stuff. I do have a lot of material stuff I didn't have, but that's not what's important. What that moment of grace has done for me is it's let me be me, and I'm good with being me. I thank God every day for all the experience I've had, good, bad, all the addiction knowledge I have, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be who I am right now. And I like this person right here. I love this person. You know, and we keep going along with it. And, you know, my life is progressing to a degree that sometimes I think I OD'd and I died and I'm in a movie, or I'm just in a dream. I can experience highs and lows. Life it's not easy by any means. Like I still get hit with stress bigger than being out there on drugs, and it's a different kind of stress, but it's manageable. Like everything is manageable. Life is great. You know, it gets to the point, I can remember waking up when it was probably the second year, and I noticed that, you know, grass is green, sky is blue, and I was happy to be here. You know, I tell this story a lot. I met my wife 6 months into this sober life, and I had to tell her, I'm 40 years old. I live with my grandmother. I got no money, and I've been clean for 6 months. And, you know, she stuck it out, stuck with me, and now we're rolling. But the beautiful thing is, like I said, it's not the material stuff that I have. It's the ability to live life, and I know who I am to the core, from the dark to what I can be, and I believe it now. And it all stems from, there's been several moments of grace, but one big moment of grace, because I really thought that was the end, and I was good with it. And so for any addict out there listening to this, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're a drug addict. You can be a food addict. You can be anything. Addiction is anything that keeps you from doing what you're supposed to be doing or who you're supposed to be with. That's what that is. So anybody out there that's struggling with something, you can cut it. I mean, it's just not easy, and God's not magically going to come down and take it away from you. You have to put in work and the tools that He's provided out there for you to really make an impact on your life.